Okay, let me ask you a question now. You have heard about object-oriented programming. Last year, ma'am also taught you about objects and classes and stuff like that. Can I get an idea from some of you what do you think is a class and what do you think is an object? And I don't want a bookish answer. You don't need to give me an answer from the book itself. You can give me whatever you have understood. Yes, Vatsal.
So basically, class is an object creating factory, and it is also the blueprint to create the different types of objects. And a class can also be said like a group of objects, and a group is an instance of that class. A class is declared by using one keyword, and object is made by using the class name. For example, the class name is scanner, and the object name is sc. So we will write scanner sc is equal to new scanner and then parenthesis.
Okay. There are so many things that you have explained here, Vatsal, but I have serious reservations about some of them. First thing you said that a class is an object factory. Then you said a class is a design. So there is a difference between a design and a factory. If you have a factory which is manufacturing cars and there is a design for a car, so which one will you call a class? The design of the car or the factory which is manufacturing the car? Vatsal?
So the factory.
No. Okay, I'll explain again. Now I'll explain further. Okay. Second thing you said that a class is a group of objects. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. A class is not a group of objects. Now I want to clarify these things to you today. So after you finish your class today, I don't think you will have any doubt regarding what a class is and what an object is. Okay, I think Gurasis also had raised his hand. Gurasis, do you want to add something to it?
No, sir, same only, sir. But objects, sir, I can say, sir, they are tangible and intangible. Sir, means that we can either we can touch them or we may not touch them. So these, sir, they are mainly things, sir, which have data and they store and they do some functions. So they when they do and sir,
Okay.
Sir,
okay. Okay. Thank you, Gurasis. Thank you, Gurasis. It is basically no. It's either tangible or non-tangible. No, it is one of these things. It can't be both these things. Okay, now, guys, object-oriented programming. The core concept here is objects. Okay, it is object-oriented programming. You need to create objects here. But let us understand what an object is. All right, so let us understand an object. Okay, so if I ask you what an object is, let's take an object, for example, a pen. All right. So what do you think? A pen basically, in fact, any object for that matter, basically it comprises of data and actions. Okay, data and actions. So if I take pen as an example, what is the data associated with it? What is the color of the pen? What is the type of ink used? All right, something like that. So color is some data which is basically saying, okay, it is red in color. Okay, the ink color is red. Type is, for example, it is a ball pen. All right. So these are the data which are associated with a pen. Okay. Now, what are the actions which are related to it? What can I do with it? I can write with it.
right.
Okay, I can write with it. What else can I do with it? I can basically point to some place using my pen. Okay, so
Draw.
although it, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
draw.
draw.
Let's okay, write and draw. These are the two basic things that we can do with a pen. All right, can we understand this now, that a pen is an object? So pen is encapsulated. What is inside the pen are the data, which is the color of the pen, which is red, and type, which is ball pen, and the actions which it can do, they are also inside that object. Can we say that? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Now that is the object. So how are these objects created? For example, if I have a pen, let me bring a pen. If I have this pen, for example, now this pen, when it was manufactured, how do you think it was manufactured? What did they start off with?
Plastic.
With the outer body.
Outer body and the inner body and the refill and whatever. Did they start off with this?
So they first started with the design, what to make.
The design, yes. They need to create a design. The design will basically tell everything regarding what is the kind of plastic that is going to be used, what is the refill that is going to be used, what is going to be the diameter of the refill, what is going to be the length of the refill, what is the size of the nib, and stuff like that. All the things. Okay. So what basically is required is the design. What also is required is a factory where this design is going to be used. Okay, so design which goes into a factory which finally creates a pen. Can you understand this part? Have you understood this part? That we need to start off with the design.
Yes.
A factory is basically what is the
Yes.
factory doing? It is basically looking at the design and it is creating the pen. All right. So that means if my design says that the refill has a diameter of 1 millimeter, what is the pen going to be having? What is the pen's refill going to be of size?
1 millimeter.
1 millimeter. So basically the factory is nothing but it is actually converting a design into an object. Okay. If I write the same thing in object-oriented terminology, if I say can you correlate these two things now? That Java runtime, which we also call as JRE, we also call it as JRE or the Java interpreter. What is the Java runtime doing? Java runtime is the factory which is basically converting the classes created by you as a programmer into objects which can be used.
So will you please repeat?
I'll repeat the whole thing now. The first part was the factory is actually looking at the design of the pen to create the pen. Okay, in Java, we have something called as Java Runtime Environment, which is the JRE, which is basically the factory which is converting the classes created by you, and it is looking at the classes and creating objects. Just like the factory is looking at the design and creating a pen, similarly Java Runtime Environment is basically looking at the classes created by you to create objects. How much of this is understood?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, beta.
So can we consider the class as a design?
Yes, the class is a design.
Okay.
We don't consider it as a design. It is the design that we are talking about here, guys.
Okay.
So there's no doubt about it. So the class is the design. The object. Okay, now can you see the difference between a design of a pen and the pen? What is the difference? Can I work with the design? Can I write with the design?
No, sir.
No.
Sir.
I can write only with the object that is finally created using that design. Similarly, can I use the class to perform any task? No. I will actually use the object, which is the entity which is going to be in the computer's memory, which is active, which is actually doing something. Am I clear? The class is not doing anything. The class is basically simply saying, okay, I have two variables. The object will have two variables. I have three methods. The object will have three methods naturally. Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, how many of you are not comfortable with what I have told you? Vatsal, you have a question or you are not comfortable?
Sir, I have a question.
Okay, please
So,
ask.
so can we say that object inherits the properties of the class?
No, it does not.
So then why are we saying that if we create 3 or 4 methods in a class, object will also have those methods?
It does not inherit, beta. Okay, let me take another example. You have your father has bought a plot, okay, and you want to he wants to construct a house on it. How does he start construction?
So by design only.
By design only. So that means he creates something called, he gets something called as a blueprint. Okay, created from one of the what are they called as?
Architects.
Architects. Yeah. Okay, so from one of the architects he gets a blueprint, and finally the what is going to be created is your house. Who actually creates the house? You have something called as a contractor in between. You give the blueprint to the contractor looks at the blueprint and creates your house. Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can I now say, as you said, is the house inheriting something from the blueprint? It is not inheriting something. All right, it is not inheriting. It is being created using whatever is in the blueprint. We won't call it inheritance. Inheritance in Java is something else. I'll discuss that also in a few minutes. Are we okay with this? I've given now 3 examples now. The first was,
Yes.
the factory looks at the design to create the pen. The contractor looks at the blueprint to create the house. The Java runtime environment looks at the class created by you to create objects. It is the pen that you can work with. It is the house in which you can live in. It is the object that you can actually work on. Are we all comfortable with whatever I have told you right now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You're comfortable. Fine. Okay. Anybody who is not comfortable? There are 3 people missing today. 33 people on 36 hone chahiye. Anybody who is not comfortable? All right. Let me ask you a question now. Let me ask you a question. Okay. Pulkit. Pulkit, Dhare, you want to say something? No. Okay, Pulkit.
Yes, sir.
Where are you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Pulkit, your name is coming as Haryasud. Okay, maybe you're logged in as your brother. Is it?
No, sir.
Okay, sorry. So Dhare is also, his microphone was on. Okay, Pulkit, my question for you. When you have that means in the entire world, anything that you see, any object that you see has a class. That means has a design.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If I give you that sentence, now can you tell me what is the design for a painting created by a painter?
Sir, imagination.
Imagination. Perfect. I wanted that as an answer. Yes, he has some imagination is in his mind. He is the actual factory which is actually creating the object, and the painting is the actual object which is created. Perfect. Yes, Gurasis, you wanted to say something?
No, sir, that answer only, sir.
Okay, now I have a question. I have a question. Gurasis, you are an
Yes,
object.
sir.
You are an object. What is the design for you? Don't say your parents. That is not the answer.
God.
God, no. See, God is the factory. We can say God is the factory who is creating you. But what did he look at when he was creating you? Whether, for example, how tall are you going to be finally? What is the color of your skin going to be? What is the
Human
color
being.
of
Human being.
again?
Human being.
Human being? No. I'll ask some people who have raised their hands. Vatsal.
Sir, gene.
Genes, your genetic information, your
Yes.
genes are basically telling God, okay, when I create Gurasis, I am going to have, okay, this is the gene, his skin color is going to be like this. This is the gene, his hair color is going to be like this. His eye color is going to be like this. His features are going to be like this. Am I clear? So in this case, God, we can
Yes.
say, okay, God is the factory. And what is God looking at? God is looking at your genetic information on one side, and he is creating you naturally. You will be created according to the genes that have been given to you. Okay. Okay, so we have done quite a lot about this now. All right. Let me discuss about an object, because actually when we talk about creating anything, we actually visualize the object. We don't visualize the design. Do we? Guys, when I want to manufacture a car, I will actually visualize a car in my mind, the object in my mind, then I'll start creating my design. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So
Yes,
be
sir.
very clear about it. So when I want to create a class, I should have something in mind. Okay, my object is going to have this, so I'll create this in my class. My object is going to have these actions, so I will create this in my class. So finally, when I create this class, the object is going to get whatever you created in the class. Object, as I told you, is basically made up of two things: data and actions. Data and actions. Okay, so that means data is something passive. It is basically represented by variables, and actions are something which is active, which is actually doing something, and which will be implemented by
Methods.
methods. Perfect.
Okay.
So basically it will be methods which will say, okay, it is doing this. Data which is saying, okay, this is color is this, speed is this, diameter is this, and so on and so forth. So forth. Let me take, okay, let me take a bank as an example. Is the you can understand that variables basically store something, isn't it? They basically store something. Okay, so what in the bank is basically storing something? Anybody?
Money.
Money. Money is stored in something called as a vault. Okay? Money is something stored in a vault. So vault is the container containing money. It is something like a variable containing data. Can we say that now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, guys?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, beta?
Yes, sir.
Are we okay? Yeah. Okay, you can stop me anytime you feel uncomfortable that you're not getting it. Okay? I'm
Sir.
in a, yeah. Yes, beta?
So can we say that variables are basically containers?
Yes, variables are containers. They are containers. They actually store something. I always call them as containers. Okay. So vault is a container. That was Vatsal.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So vault is basically the data which is inside the bank. What are the actions that a bank actually does?
To provide money to the people.
Okay, to provide money. In fact, if there is something called as a teller function. Okay, there is something called as a cashier function. There is something called as a manager function. There is something called as a peon function. There is something called as a security function. Okay, so what do you can you see that the bank as an object basically has two things, basically data, which is the vault, and the vault is basically containing money only. It is not doing anything. It's not performing any task. Whereas we have various people inside the bank who are actually doing something, and their names are teller, cashier, manager, peon, security. All of them
What
have different tasks to do. Yeah.
what's the teller?
Teller is normally a name given to somebody who is working in the bank, maybe paying you money, maybe doing taking checks from you, creating drafts for you. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Cashier is one who is only giving you cash. That's all. Okay. So teller is a normal general term for who is doing all these tasks. Okay, so we have a teller, we have a cashier, we have a manager. All of them tasks are different tasks, isn't it? The security is basically looking after security. Manager is managing the whole bank. Cashier is working with cash only. Teller is probably working with drafts and checks and other things. Now, um, what is the basic concern of all these people? Don't you think the basic concern is what is inside this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, everybody is actually focused on what is in the vault. Not even one paisa should go here or there. Every person is basically responsible for the security of that vault over there. If any one of these is not working properly, the vault will have some hera-feri over there, and you will not have the money which it should be having. Are we clear? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is just an example. This is just an example. When we talk an object in object-oriented programming, an object basically has something called as data, which is represented by variables, and it also has methods, which is represented by it has actions, which are represented by methods. Okay. So these methods, what are these methods basically doing? These methods are basically used to work with these variables. Okay. Can I say that the vault is very secure? When I talk about
Yes,
the
sir.
bank, can I say that the vault is secure? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Why is it secure? Can you access the vault directly?
No,
No,
sir.
sir. No,
You
sir.
cannot. No, you cannot. So if you want to withdraw money, you will have to go through a teller or a cashier. Only then you can get money. If you want to deposit money, even you can't deposit it directly into the vault. You'll have to go through a teller or a cashier. You will give the money to him. He or she will give the money, put the money in the vault. So that means you are not directly interacting with the money, with the vault. Okay. So that is why the vault is secure. That is why the vault is secure. Now, जो ऑब्जेक्ट का बेसिक कंसर्न होता है, the basic concern is to keep these variables secure, the variables that are created inside the class, inside the object, of course. So these variables should be secure. Secure means the world outside should not be able to access those variables directly. Just like you cannot access the vault directly, the outside world cannot access those variables directly. So if you want to access them, what do? How do you access them? Using
Methods.
Using the methods inside. For example, if you want to access the vault for some money, you don't access it directly, you access the methods. You say cashier function, okay, give me this money. He will take the money out of the vault and give it to you. Similarly, if you want to see a variable, you will have to call one of the methods, and that method will actually show the variable to you. You cannot directly see it. Okay. Let me start by creating a class. This is my first class. I'll call it as demo class. You can understand that this is the basic structure of a class. We have a keyword class in small letters. We have a class name starting with a capital letter always, and we have an opening brace and the closing brace. Are we okay with this? Are we comfortable with this? Yes,
Yes,
beta.
Sir, if we write in the boards, if or in the pre-boards we write the class name as small letters, so are marks going to get cut?
If you write it in pre-boards, I'm going to cut. The boards may not cut, I will cut.
Okay.
Okay, so please remember, writing demo in capital letters is a convention. So you should be using proper conventions. So, and if you don't use proper conventions with me, I'm going to be very angry there. So please remember, your class names should all be in capital letters. I will explain the benefit of conventions a little later. Okay. So please remember, class names always capital letters. Now, as I told you, basically a class contains two things: data and actions. How am I going to write data? Data is variables only, and the data is always going to be private. So I'll say private int num. Okay, so num is what is my vault here, guys. Num is my vault in the class. Just like the bank had the vault here, now here in my class, this num is the vault. Okay, next, if I create an object of this class, if I write demo, say d is equal to new demo function. So this is how I will create the object of this class. Now using d, can I set the value of num? Can I see the value of num? Can I do anything with num? Can I? I'm waiting for the answer. You have done this part, isn't it? Private, public, you have done or no?
So can you repeat?
The question is, can I, using d, can I access the value of num? Have you done about, do you know about?
But the num is private, so how can we
Okay.
access
You
it?
know about private, na? You know about private and public and default and protected and stuff like that?
So we have only just learned in theory, but in programs we have used public.
Public, sir.
Okay. All right. So that means that part you have not done. No problem. No problem. Okay. Now I'll explain to you now. You know that the components inside the class are either going to be data or they are going to be methods. Now you can specify the access for each one of these as private or public. Private means that particular entity can be accessed from outside the class. Private means it cannot be accessed. Public means it can be accessed. Are we okay with this?
Yes, sir.
So when I am outside the class, this is outside the class. I'll tell you how to write this later on. But from outside the class, if I try to access num, I will not be able to access num. Why? Because it is going to be something like a customer of a bank. Can a customer of a bank, can he access the vault directly? No, he is an outsider. The vault is something which is private to the bank. Okay. So if I want to set the value of num, I have no system to do that. So what I will do is I will create a function which is actually going to set the value of num. Okay, and it is going to be public. So I'll say public void I'll have something called as a set function to which I will pass a variable n, and I will pass the value of n to num. Okay, I'll create another one now while I'm at it. So public void show function, and which is basically going to be display the value of num. Okay guys, now what do you see here now in the class demo? We have three components. One component is a variable, and there are two components which are methods. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So does anybody have any problem right now? The 35 people that are here.
Sir.
Yes, beta.
So then what is the point of creating a private, what is the point that we are making the variable num as private if we are creating another variable to access it?
And we are creating another variable method to access it. Method. We are creating a method to access it.
So then why are we making it private? If you
Okay.
have to make two
If
variables.
I ask you about this example now, why did we make the vault as private? Why did we make the vault as private?
To keep it secure.
To keep it secure. Same place here, same thing here. Why did I make this num variable as private? To keep it secure. That means the outside world, which is starting from here, cannot access num directly. So if I want to access num, I want to store something in num, I will actually call the set function to do so. Which is something like going to a teller and saying, okay, take this money and put it into the vault. Don't you think set function is doing that only?
Yes, sir. Sir, I got it.
Okay. So let me finish this and then I'll ask again. So what do we have? We have three components in this particular class. We have a private variable called num, and we have a public method called set, and I have a public method called show. What is the public method set doing? Set is basically getting a value from the outside world and setting the same value into the variable num, and the num is the same num which we had created there. And if I call the show function, it is actually going to show me the value of num. And which num am I talking about? It is the same num that I created here. Okay. So how am I going to access the set function? I am going to what is the object that I created here? What is the name of the object that I created?
D.
D. So D is the name of the object. So what I'll say D dot set in brackets, I'll say 10. Okay, so what is going to happen now? What is going to happen now? D as an object is going to have a variable called num, which is finally going to have a value of 10. Can you understand this now? So what happens when I call set function? Set function is being passed the value of 10. Where will it pass to? It will be passed to the argument here. Don't you think so? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And this n is 10. And where will it be passed to? It will be passed into the variable num, and that is the instance variable. We call this variable as the instance variable. Okay. An instance basically is also another name given for objects. The n variable that you can see here is basically called as a local variable. Is that understood? So in this entire class, how many variables do you see actually? You see two variables, one is num and one is n. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so the num variable that you see there is the instance variable. It belongs to the object. It is like the vault of the bank. The n variable that you see there actually belongs to the method set. So we can say that this is something which is actually going into the hands of a teller or a cashier. Am I clear?
Sir, it will be parameter variable also.
It will be parameterized. Say that again.
Sir, parameter variable.
Yeah, this is called as a parameter or an argument. So when you pass the value of 10, it actually goes into n, and n is finally passed into num, and the num gets the value of 10. Now if I write d dot set in brackets, I write 15. Now what is going to happen? 15 is going to be passed to n, and n is going to be 15 again is going to be passed to num, and num will get the value of 15, and this 10 is actually going to be 15 now. So the variable num, which is inside the object d, is going to get the value of 15. Okay so far?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
sir,
Ajay?
if we declare that method set as static, then do we need to use the dot?
Have we done static till now? We have not. So I'm not going to discuss that at the moment.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Now I have created another object, that is e. Okay. And I say e dot set 3. What is going to happen? Is this going to get the value of 3?
Yes, sir.
Yes. No, this 15 actually belongs to num, which belongs to d. I am actually working with e at the moment. Okay. Now, when we write e dot something or I write d dot something, these are called as invoking objects. Invoking objects means what? Invoking objects means what? The object which is invoking the methods. Okay. Let me take a simple example. I have a function called deposit, to which I pass 1000. If I say SBI dot deposit 1000, what is going to happen?
In
I have
the
not shown
SBI
you
account.
class. You can imagine what is going to happen.
1000
Can
rupees
you
will be
imagine?
deposited into SBI.
Into SBI. So that means SBI is an object in which in whose vault it is going to deposit 1000 rupees. But if I had said PNB dot deposit 1000, what is going to happen?
In
Deposited
Punjab
into
National
PNB.
Bank, 1000 rupees are deposited.
Yes, 1000 rupees are deposit. So it is very important here. Deposit function to bichara deposit kar dega. Where is it going to be deposited is going to be the responsibility of the invoking object now. So when I say PNB, so PNB dot, this is basically called as the invoking object here. An invoking object is very, very important for calling all these methods. Okay, so when I say d dot set 10, so set this value is going to be passed over here, which will be 10. The 10 will be passed to num. Whose num are we talking about now? D ka num ya e ka num? There are two objects now. There are two objects, and when I call this, ये किसको इफेक्ट करेगा? D के num को या E के num को? D के num को. Why? Because set function was invoked by D. Are we clear?
Yes,
Sir?
sir.
Yeah, tell me.
So what does instance variable mean?
Instance variable means the object variable, the variable that belongs to the object. It is something like the vault, it is the storage which belongs to the bank.
Okay, sir.
Okay? The storage which belongs to the bank, the variable which belongs to the object. Can we correlate these two things? कर सकते हो ना दोनों को correlate? ठीक है. And what is this N? This is the money in the pocket of the cashier. Okay? So it doesn't belong to the bank. It does not belong to the bank. All right. Okay. So this part is done. Invoking object is done. Suppose now if I say d dot show function, show function is going to be executed and num is going to be displayed. Now which num are we talking about here? Will it display finally 15 or will it display
15.
15.
Why 15?
So because it is the latest
Because it
value
is
that has been given to the variable num.
Yeah, it is the latest, but this is the only one. Sorry, it is the latest one. Yeah, fine. Very true. Very true. So d dot show is going to show the value of 15. Basically, I'm concerned over here is which num is going to display d ka num ya e ka num?
sir D ka.
D.
Why d ka num?
So because we have written the
Because
object
D is a
D.
D is
invoking
the
object.
invoking
Yeah,
object.
because the show function was invoked by d. Show function was invoked by d. Suppose I had said e dot show function. What do you think it is going to display now?
3.
3.
3.
Me 3. Here it is going to show me 15. So it should be very clear. Whenever you call a method, it has to have an invoking object along with it. ये कौन से इंस्टेंस वेरिएबल्स को शो करेगा वो डिपेंड करता है कि आपने इन्वोकिंग ऑब्जेक्ट कौन सा यूज किया है. इफ यू हैव यूज्ड d as the invoking object, it will use d का instance variable, otherwise it will use e का instance variable. Are we clear?
Sir, can you please repeat once again?
Repeat from where?
So when you were telling that which function is it gonna to which does num belongs to E or D? I did not get that.
Okay. I'll start off with this statement now. Demo d, one object is created. In this line, I had said d dot set 10. What is going to happen is set function is going to be called with the value of 10. So n is going to have the value of 10. N is going to be passed to num. Now, whose num it is going to store? It actually depends on who was calling the set function. So set function, because it has been called by d, so d के अंदर जो num है उसकी value में 15 store हो जाएगा. ठीक है? And when I say d dot 15, so 15 is going to be passed to n and n is going to be passed to num. Which num? Num is d का num because d के अब वो 15 value हो गई उसकी.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So it basically depends on first of all what is the method being used and who is actually calling it. Okay, who is actually calling it? Okay, now because we have done the bank thing, I'll create the bank class also. So can I say private int vault? Public void. I have two methods. One is called as going to be a deposit method. Deposit में मैं कुछ n pass कर दूंगा. So something will be done. And we have a public void withdraw function. And it is also going to be passed an argument. And it is also going to do something. And then lastly, I have a method called as public void show, which is actually going to show me what is the value of the vault. So ये तो सबसे simple है, हम vault की value यहाँ पे display कर देते हैं. What is the deposit function going to do? What should it do? If I pass 1000 to the deposit function, what is going to happen?
Vault is equal to n.
Is it going to be vault is equal to n? If I deposit 1000 rupees in the bank, does the vault become 1000 or is it increased by 1000?
Increased by 1000.
It is increased by 1000. थोड़ा सा change कर देंगे. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll say vault plus equal to sorry. Plus equal to n. So whatever is being passed, that is And what is withdraw function going to do?
Volt minus equal to n.
Minus equal to
Okay, volt minus equal to n. So does this particular class make sense to you guys?
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Yes. Okay. So I'll actually create another class and I'll name it as bank main class. Okay, which is actually going to contain the main method of my public static void main method. And what am I going to do here is I'm going to create the objects. So bank, suppose I say bank SBI is equal to new bank function, and I say bank PNB is equal to new bank function. How many objects have I created of the bank?
2.
2. So and they are named as SBI and PNB. If I say SBI dot deposit bracket me 1000, and then I say PNB dot deposit 500, Garib Bank hai, and then I say SBI dot withdraw 200, and then I say SBI dot show function and PNB dot show function. Okay, can you understand what is happening here?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, now looking at the concepts that we have learned just now, what is going to happen when we write these two statements? It is going to create the two objects, SBI and PNB. Okay. When I created the bank class, I cannot do anything with this class unless I create an object. So when I write this statement, bank SBI is equal to new bank function, the Java runtime environment is going to create the SBI object by looking at this class. Now, because this class contains a single int variable vault, SBI will contain a single int variable vault. Because this one contains 3 methods, SBI will also contain 3 methods. Similarly, PNB will also have its own vault and its own functions deposit, withdraw, and show. Are we okay with this? So,
Yes, sir.
can I say SBI has its own vault and
Yes, sir.
and PNB? Just 2 minutes. Okay. Okay, right now when the objects are created, both the vaults are going to have a value of 0. All right. So the instance variables basically automatically get a value of 0. When I say SBI dot deposit 1000, what do you think is going to happen?
So the vault of SBI will be
Value will
1000.
Absolutely. Why? Because I have invoked deposit function using SBI. So naturally processes are the same. It depends on vault कौन सी change होगी. It depends on के आपका invoking object कौन सा है. So when I say deposit 1000, 1000 is going to be passed here and it is going to be added to the vault. And which vault are we talking about? We are talking about SBI वाली vault. Why? Because SBI ने इसको invoke किया था. तो उसकी value क्या हो जाएगी? 1000. Okay, so when I say PNB dot deposit 500, same thing is going to happen. 500 is going to be deposited in the PNB value vault. SBI dot withdraw 200, this is going to be decreased by, so it is going to remain, it is now 800. SBI dot show will show 800, PNB dot show will show 500, the final values of the vault. Are things getting a little clearer?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
For how many people has it happened that कुछ बत्तियां जल गई हैं? Only Vatsal?
No, sir, doubt है मेरे को.
अच्छा डाउट है अभी तो.
सर बत्ती
बाकी
भी जली, बट डाउट भी है सर, प्लीज.
हाँ जी, मैं डाउट अभी पूछ लेता हूँ. बत्तियां किन की जल गई हैं वो मुझे पता लगना चाहिए. अभी सिर्फ 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, sufficient. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Okay, Vatsal, your question.
Sir,
Jaldi.
can you please explain the basic idea of an invoking object?
Invoking object, basic idea is which object is going to is this function going to act on?
So on the
Okay, this
function deposit.
deposit function is going to be executed, but which object is it is going to act on? All right, so that means
SBN.
whose instance variables are going to be affected. Okay, so that is the invoking object. All
Okay,
right.
sir.
Okay. I will be sending this whole to you again in your and we'll continue in the next class, starting off with the bank class. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Any questions? We'll take it in the next class itself. I'll be sending you the homework again, and there were, I think, around 6-7 people who had not submitted the homework last time. I suggest every one of you do that. Okay, every one of you should be. Yes. Okay.
Sir.
Anji beta.
Sir, in the class bank main, you have written public static void main. So can't we just simply write static void main?
You can, but you need to understand what public actually means. We'll do the access specifiers to next time, so we will discuss this. Okay, abhi nahi karenge. All right. Okay, guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next class.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.